We've reached the end of this journey. Over the past 11 chapters, we've explored one of history's most difficult questions. How did an ordinary nation become part of one of humanity's darkest chapters? The answer was never simple. There was no single moment that changed everything. Instead, history changed through countless small decisions made by ordinary people over many years. As we look back, several important lessons begin to emerge. The first is that hardship can make people vulnerable. After the First World War, Germany was a nation struggling with poverty, unemployment, and uncertainty. When people lose hope, they naturally search for someone who promises a better future. History reminds us that in difficult times, hope can be a powerful force. But hope without truth can become dangerous. The second lesson is the power of information. Throughout the series, we saw how propaganda influenced an entire nation. When one message is repeated every day, through newspapers, radio, speeches, and public events, many people begin to accept it without question. The lesson isn't that people are foolish. The lesson is that our minds are shaped by what we hear most often. That is why asking questions is so important. Another lesson came from obedience. Most people believe they would refuse an unjust order. Yet psychology shows that authority can influence ordinary people in ways they never expect. Doing what is right often requires more courage than simply following instructions. We also explore conformity. Human beings naturally want to belong. We want to be accepted by our families, our friends, and our communities. But history teaches us that following the crowd is not always the same as doing what is right. Sometimes the bravest decision is standing alone. Fear was another lesson. Fear can protect us, but it can also be used to control us. Throughout history, fear has often been used to influence decisions, silence criticism, and divide communities. Understanding fear helps us recognize when it is being used against us. We also learn about silence. Many people saw warning signs. Some knew that innocent people were suffering, yet many remained quiet. Not always because they agreed. Sometimes because they were afraid. Sometimes because they believed someone else would speak first. History reminds us that silence can allow injustice to grow. One of the most important lessons came from understanding how ordinary people became involved in extraordinary events. Very few people changed overnight. Most were influenced little by little. One compromise, one decision, one step at a time, until what once seemed impossible slowly became normal. And finally, we saw what happened when propaganda met reality. Promises could not stop the truth forever. Reality eventually revealed the consequences of years of fear, manipulation, and blind obedience. Truth may be delayed, but history has shown that it cannot remain hidden forever. These lessons are not only about Nazi Germany. They are lessons about human behavior, about how fear, hope, authority, conformity, and silence can influence people in any place and in any generation. That is why studying history matters. Not to live in the past, but to better understand ourselves. History gives us something incredibly valuable: perspective. It reminds us to think before we follow, to question before we believe, to speak when something feels wrong, and to remember that every society is shaped by the choices of ordinary people. Perhaps that is the greatest lesson of all. History is not written only by leaders. It is written by teachers, workers, parents, students, neighbors, people just like us. The future is shaped by the decisions we make every single day. Before we leave, remember this: history never truly ends. Every generation has its own stories, its own mysteries, its own warnings. And here on the Neuroscope, we've only just begun uncovering them. In our next documentary, we'll explore another incredible story that reveals the hidden psychology behind history, a story of power, influence, and the human mind pushed to its limits. If you've enjoyed this journey, this is the perfect time to subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Thank you for watching. This is a Neuroscope, where history meets psychology, and every story helps us better understand the world and ourselves. I'll see you in the next video.